add up to big change. 12 months into the rising higher and growing deeper, we're experiencing a glow-up. New thought communities all over the world are utilizing spiritual principles and to participate in our collective healing. We don't become brand new people overnight. Community, connection, spiritual practice, and time have transformed us into a magnificent, wise, and inspiring people. The work we're doing on ourselves is changing the world. At this very moment, our spiritual work supports the world in experiencing a glow up like we've never known. Okay, and our December theme is, here we go, shedding our skin. And that's where we're at. And now please help me welcome Terrea with our top 10 this morning.
When I often do these things, I never know if my topic is going to be in alignment with the monthly CSL, and I don't worry too much about that.
No.
But then I'm always quite surprised at how it actually is a good fit, spiritual awakening. And your share this morning, Shona, also very relevant to spiritual awakening. The what and the when and the why and the how. And maybe I'm sure everybody's on their path. Where you are on your path is exactly where you're meant to be right now. But this awakened inside me on my drive out to Medicine Hat in October. I was listening to a podcast and I thought, oh my gosh, this is really cool information and I think it needs to be shared. So this wouldn't stop until I started putting it together. So spiritual awakening, it's been around for centuries and it's been used or recognized by a variety of cultures and religions. It was popularized in the West, by good old Carl Jung, and his take on it was coming back to the original self. That makes so much sense to me. And it is an experience of simply raising our state of consciousness. That's all we have to do. But there's lots of challenges and struggles in the process of doing that. And it's an intrinsic part of what it means for us to be human. It begins the moment that we step back and become aware that something doesn't feel right anymore. Something doesn't fit in our life, or there's a missing puzzle, or puzzle piece, we don't know what that is, but it's becoming aware of it and wanting to do something about that. Now, a lot of questions come up. We start questioning everything, and that can feel unnerving. And those two big questions, who am I and why am I here, can be completely daunting. Because where do we start with all of that? We have to have a willingness, we have to have a curiosity, we have to have courage, and we have to have commitment to get on the path and stay on the path. So what initiates it? It could be something completely mundane in your life. It could be you sitting next to somebody on a bus or on a plane and start up a conversation and something gets triggered. That person, that conversation that comes up just awakens something inside of you and you start thinking, I wonder. And you start getting curious. And it could also be something life-altering. It could be a life crisis. Losing your job at 50 years old. Having to move from a place and a home and a location that you've lived all of your life into the unknown. Could be an illness, not necessarily yours. It could be an accident, not necessarily yours. It could be an unexpected divorce. And it could be that thing that we call midlife crisis. Whatever it is, it triggers something within us that encourages us and sometimes even forces us. It'll feel like a pulling or a calling, or you just gotta do it to find meaning to this thing called life. So I put together 11 points. There's a whole lot more information, so I encourage you to do your own deep dive. But I'm sure you will all recognize, if not all of these points, you'll recognize where you are at on your spiritual awakening path. And number one is you feel disconnected or detached. And that could be from people, that could be from things, that could be from ideas and beliefs. You just start to feel like you don't relate anymore. It doesn't resonate with you more. There's an uneasy feeling about everything. So you start getting curious. There's confusion. You're asking questions about everything. And relationships, you'll notice relationships start to shift. And that's normal, because awakening is transformational. So not everybody around you will understand what you're doing, why you're acting that way, why you stopped doing what you always did, and might not even support you and appreciate what you're doing. That could lead to feeling alone, for some even isolated, because until you meet your people, your tribe, then it's difficult to have conversations with people. It is highly suggested that we return back to that childlike wonder when it comes to curiosity and ask questions. Lots and lots of questions. Number two, you reevaluate your beliefs. This is where we just, again, all those questions. We've always done it this way, but why does it not feel right anymore? And that could relate to your work life, could relate to your family, could relate to friends, could relate to humanity, the entire globe. But mostly it relates to self, because the spiritual awakening is only and always about you. We start looking at our passions, asking what our passions are, what our priorities are, how fulfilled are we with our lives. And the spirituality part of life begins to create more interest for us. We get on that path, and if you're like me, you're like a dog with a bone. You just keep looking, keep searching, keep following. And number three, you experience more synchronicities. I'm thinking everybody has probably experienced that situation where you think of someone you hadn't thought about in a long time, family, friend, whatever, and you think, gee, maybe I should contact them. I wonder how they're doing. And by God, the next day you randomly bump into them in the grocery store. Those are synchronicities. You start wondering if those vivid dreams that you're having now have a meaning. You start wondering if all the multiple numbers you're seeing have meaning. You question, are there angels? Are there guides? Are there fairies and imps and all those other little creatures? Is there something out there? The questions never end. But we start also becoming more in tune with the body. We're more in tune with our intuition. All of our senses become heightened, and that can lead to us being really sensitive to the outside stimuli. I personally have become quite sensitive to noises, loud noises. So I have to be cautious about where I go and how long I stay, start setting boundaries. That just because you're becoming more in tune with the body. Number four, there's a sudden change in your habits and your routines. And that's because of all the questions we're asking, and our priorities are starting to change, and realizing that something is missing. We need to find out what it is. And all that curiosity, all that question, we're questioning old thoughts, old ideas, old beliefs. How are they serving me today? Are they serving me today? How fulfilled am I? So all of these questions leads us to number five, your teacher finds you. And that's because what we seek, we find. It's universal law. You give the brain a question and it will find the answer. But you have to get out there and find the answer, start doing your research. And the teacher may not be a literal teacher, two of them sitting right there. It could be, again, that person on the bus. It could be a co-worker that you haven't chatted to for a long time, and sit down and have a coffee, and all of a sudden there's an awareness coming from that conversation. It could be somebody invites you to a talk that's happening at the community club, and you're not really interested, but you'll go and keep her company, but holy cow, it spoke to you more than it spoke to her. And it could be that guru you find, whether it's the Eckhart Tolle's, the first book you pick up. What draws you to that first author? What draws you to that first mentor? Either it comes synchronistically because you're looking and you're in the library going through all the books and you just trust your gut that this is the one I'm supposed to read. This is the class I'm supposed to take. They don't all pan out perfect, but there's a lesson in all of it. We start to realize that nature is also our teacher. Number 6, your outlook on the world feels different. This is because we are shifting. Our perspective is shifting. Our perception is shifting. We're more in tune with our body. Our senses are heightened, and we start to feel into things more than we think about things, because spirit feels the truth long before the mind gets on board with it. And it can feel, all this shifting can be easy, it can come with grace and ease, and it cannot. It can be very, very challenging. And that is because we are creating a new reality for ourselves. We're discovering, peeling back the layers on that version of who we came here to be. What you're doing is building, with every step that you take, everything that you do, every book you read, every single thing is helping you to build that spiritual foundation. Because spirituality has become more important to you to follow that thread than other things in life. Number 7, you feel more connected to the natural world. So we're less connected to family, less connected to friends. It's, again, those difficult conversations because we want to have deeper conversations. It's not that you're finding, I don't believe it's that you're finding it boring, it's unfulfilling. We want more fulfillment in our life. And when you start to realize that nature truly is one of our biggest teachers, and that nature actually speaks to us, but we have to get quiet and listen. I know people who talk to the trees. I've tried to, but I don't hear anything back yet. So the connection with nature starts to grow stronger, and we start to realize that everything from the plants to the animals to all of humanity, the entire globe, we feel a sense of interconnectedness. That word was actually in the vision, I think. Interconnection. Mm-hmm. You start to feel that interconnectedness with everything. And if you have experienced that feeling, you will know that it's such a moving experience. And you wish you could hang on to it. But it will be fleeting. Number 8, you sense inauthenticity and manipulation. And that is because as our authenticity awakens and our senses are heightened, we're more in tune with our intuition, we recognize inauthenticity. We recognize a lack of integrity. It's not there for us to judge, but we do recognize it. If everybody in our life is indeed a mirror, what is that mirror showing you? And I believe everybody is a mirror. Number 9 is you realize everyone is on their own path. This is about accepting. This is about detaching from believing that you have to fix them. You have to show them the right way. Because it worked for you, you think it's going to work for them. But you have to realize we are all unique. We are individual. We are all unique. And we all choose our own path. We choose our pace. We choose our progress. It is not our responsibility to show anybody. What we can do is just be a demonstration of it. We reach that point where there's no need, we don't feel any need to convince anybody, to defend who we are and where we are on our path. We just simply settle into that beingness of it. And when we stay in that compassion and judgment, that keeps us stuck. That puts a block between us and full spiritual awakening. Number 10, an increase in compassion and empathy. Even that, we have to be aware of it. We have to accept that everybody makes their own choices, detach from that. And yes, because we are raising our state of consciousness, which is simply living from the heart space, loving heart space, that's all it is, raising your consciousness out of the ego mind. And when you accept what's going on where everybody else is, you can start to feel compassion for them. And I said in my tapping meditation today, feeling that compassion and wanting to help others, it's innate in us to want to help others. But it's not about the doing. What can I do? It's not so much about that. It's about the beingness. Be the compassion. And all of this leads us to want to serve, which is the last point, number 11, is we want to be of service. So all through this spiritual awakening, you're recognizing your passions, your what's important to you, your priorities, and you want to be in service of. And I think we all go through where we are in service of doing something, whether it's joining committees or boards or volunteering or whatever it is. But that grows inside us. But you've also reached then that point where you are recognizing the interconnectedness of everything, that you are connected to everything, everyone, and that it all, every one of us, everything in the world is inherently worthy and equal. So to share that passion, we start looking at our passions, and I can attest to this. I had to realize, what am I passionate about? What am I losing energy on? And what is it I'm passionate about? And you can tell I'm passionate because I get in your face, kind of. So you start thinking, what's important? How can my passions blend with my being in service? Is that part of my purpose here? And that answer might come quickly for some, and others it might not. You have to test the waters. But when you can blend your passion and your purpose and put that to be in service to humanity, you've hit the jackpot. Because that's where you go from just contentment in life to being fulfilled. And that's the whole point. So, spiritual awakening is just the first step in a long path to that thing called enlightenment. There's not just one moment, there's not just one step. There's many moments, there's many steps. You will take 2 forward, you'll get 3 back. Lots of times you'll throw up your arms and say, I'm done with this nonsense, I'm done, I can't do anymore. And then you'll come back, because once you have awoken that, it will not go back. The door will not close. You will always feel that niggling or that calling. You will always get back on that horse and ride again. There's many, many moments, there's many, many shifts, and there's a ton of unlearning that has to take place. And all of that takes us toward our healing and toward our becoming. And it's all worth it. Even the problem part of it, even the struggling part of it, it is all worth it, because it's all there to teach us lessons. Now there are stages. I'm not going to go into that because it's time consuming. But there's stages to that enlightenment thing. A few comments from Alan Watts. He was an interpreter of Eastern philosophy, and he passed away in 1973. That's not so long ago. If you're anywhere near my age, you'll realize that's not so long ago. But the way his take on spiritual awakening is a quiet sense of worth, an inner authority, a deeper thirst, a desire to be our authentic self. We quit the need to be special. We quit the need for certainty. We quit pretending happy, and we quit blaming others. We quit blaming self, and we quit blaming the world. Ultimately, he sees spiritual awakening as freedom, and I concur with that one. the deeper that we go into ourselves, the less that we have to do any explaining about who we are, what we're doing, and where we're going. And a final quote by Carl Jung, I'm sure you've heard it. Those who look outside dream, and those who look within awaken. So I bless you all on your spiritual awakening path.